Good afternoon, distinguished delegates. We are going to start in a few minutes. We're waiting for the chair and some of the panelists. So with your indulgence, we're going to be starting at 5 minutes past 3, hopefully. So please bear with us. It's now 1 minute past 3. So in 4 minutes approximately, we should be starting. In the meanwhile, if you can please identify yourselves by the country of adscription, the country that you're representing in capital letters before your name and surname, that would be appreciated. If you could also please indicate for excellencies and PRs and DPRs your title, that would be also appreciated, so we can organize the list of speakers accordingly. So we will be with you in 3 minutes. Now it's 2 past 3, so at 3:05. Thank you. Good afternoon, distinguished delegates and panelists. We are facing some technical difficulties to get the chair connected, so bear with us. In a couple of minutes, we will be able to start. Apologies for the delay. In the meanwhile, the distinguished delegates are kindly requested to put the name of the country that they are representing in capital letters before their name and surname. PRs and DPRs are kindly asked to indicate their level as well, so we can organize the list. We will be with you in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Sorry, Jordi, you would like, okay.
Mr. Chair, how are you?
Do you hear me? You hear
Yes, loud and clear.
Shall we start our meeting?
So, Ambassador, we have 78 participants and all the panelists are here. It's 6 minutes past 3. So whenever you are ready, the session can start.
Okay, thank you. I declare open the second virtual meeting of the second regular session 2020 of the Executive Board of UNDP, UNFPA, and UNOPS. We will continue the joint segment with agenda item 5, financial, budgetary, and administrative matters, joint comprehensive proposal on the cost recovery policy. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. George Krioko, Acting Chief Financial Officer, Bureau for Management Services of UNDP. Forgive me if I pronounce your name not in a proper way. And Mr. Andrew Saperton, UNFPA, Director of Division for Management Services. I give the floor first to Mr. Krioko to make a statement on behalf of the agency. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and UN colleagues. Today's session is a culmination of a strong consultative process that UNDP and UNFPA, together with UNICEF and UN Women, held with the Executive Board on the important topic of the cost recovery policy. Today, we are jointly presenting to you for decision the final joint comprehensive proposal on the cost recovery policy in response to the Executive Board decision 2018/21. The report is premised on the 4 overarching principles on cost recovery, namely, to maintain a harmonized approach, to minimize cross-subsidization between regular and other resources, to maximize the allocation of regular resources to programs, and to remain efficient and competitive within the development cooperation system. This policy, with the aim that it can be used as a reference by other agencies in the United Nations system, builds on and benefits from the guidance of your esteemed delegations, including on the following: cost classification and categorization, to ensure that similar elements are appropriately grouped to enhance further harmonization, transparency, and comparability across agencies. Further harmonization between agencies on cost recovery rates, and the minimization of waivers with a robust approval process, including detailed reporting to the Executive Board on an annual basis. In this context, the Executive Board may wish to take note of the joint comprehensive cost recovery policy, approve the cost classification categories and their definition, approve the cost recovery policy, including methodology and rates, and resolve that the policy supersedes previous cost recovery policy, methodology, and rates. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, George, for your statement on behalf of the agency. And the floor is open now for comments and questions from the floor.
Ambassador, I have 2 speakers requesting the floor. Germany on behalf of a joint statement, and then the USA to follow.
Okay, so the floor is to Germany. You have the floor, sir. I give the floor to the representative of Germany. You have the floor, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dear Chair, dear colleagues, I'm making this statement on behalf of Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Bulgaria, Canada, Colombia, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Republic of Moldova, Republic of Korea, Somalia, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, Ukraine, United Kingdom, United States of America, and my own country, Germany. We would like to thank the management of UNDP, UNFPA, UNICEF, and UN Women very much for the revised joint cost recovery policy. We would also like to thank all involved parties for their tireless efforts in this process. The journey to get here was long and sometimes painful. However, we believe it was worth the effort. The policy presented for approval today is promising and much improved in many regards. It is set to minimize cross-subsidization of non-core by core, improve harmonization, transparency, efficiency, collaboration, and ultimately also impact within the 4 participating agencies. As we have stated at the beginning of this year, the 4 agencies deserve our full and continued support for leading the way on harmonizing cost recovery within the United Nations Development System. We would like to specifically recognize the strong progress on harmonizing cost classifications and the more rigid and transparent handling of waivers. Furthermore, the policy is a big step forward on transparency, providing a full picture of the complex cost recovery framework and superseding the previous policy and related board decisions. With regard to the system of differentiated rates, we appreciated the specificity, but would like to continue the discussion and improve our understanding of the underlying reasons. Looking to the future, we would like to suggest focusing on 2 things: expanding a harmonized policy within the broader UN development system and establishing a solid review mechanism. On the expansion, against the background of further harmonization, the time is now ripe to look beyond the 4 agencies. This is what we as member states decided to do in Resolution 72/279. The joint policy of the 4 agencies may serve as a useful model in this regard, and doing so would contribute to reaching important UN commitments in the funding compact. Being the front runners that they are, we expect the 4 agencies to argue in favor of the expansion in internal UN fora. On the review mechanism, the revised policy is an important milestone, but there is no time for complacency. The UN development system is operating in a fluctuating context. The COVID-19 pandemic and an evolving funding landscape affecting funding portfolios are but 2 key factors. We therefore suggest monitoring and in regular intervals reviewing the policy to ensure its continued relevance and usefulness for the agencies. We specifically ask the agencies to provide harmonized, transparent annual reporting to the boards, including on cost recovery rates, incomes, and their use, as well as in integrated resource plans and budgets. We should use the next few years to improve the evidence base regarding application, effects, and impact of the policy, and in particular the differentiated rates, which should demonstrably serve the purpose of incentivizing high quality, flexible funding while minimizing cross-subsidization. In implementing and operationalizing the cost recovery policy, we continue to be guided by, first, the notion of full cost recovery as called for in the QCPR and repositioning resolutions. Full cost recovery should be continuously pursued by the agencies, noting that it will by default not be achievable in every instance. Second, the necessity of compliance of UN agencies, member states, and other contributors with a revised policy. Results to these effects should be carefully monitored over the coming years. We welcome reporting on waivers and the resulting financial loss to the boards in this regard. We remind agencies of the respective funding compact commitment, which monitors the implementation of cost recovery policies and rates. Third, a harmonized approach to the differentiated rates across agencies, which incentivizes collaboration while avoiding harmful competition in line with the Secretary General's reform agenda. We would like to thank you again for all the efforts. We will continue to closely observe the implementation of the new policy and welcome further dialogue in this regard, including at structured funding dialogues and the annual reports of agencies. We look forward to adopting the proposed policy. Thank you.
I thank you very much. I thank the distinguished representative of Germany for her.
Yeah.
And I give the floor now to the representative of the United States.
While, Ambassador, while I had the US in my list of speakers,
Yes.
they are conveying to me that their points are covered by this joint statement that just been delivered, so they don't need to request the floor.
Okay. Okay. Who was in your list, Jordina?
I don't have anybody else, sir.
No one?
No.
Okay. Shall we go back to the UN agencies if they want to make any further comments, or if they would like to add anything to the statement delivered by Mr. George Kariuko?
Yes.
I open the floor. Sorry?
Yeah, we're going back to the panel. The colleagues from UNDP and UNFPA can.
Yes. Anyone would like to?
George?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Perhaps I could just add a very, very short message on top of the response that's been given, just to thank every delegation for their active participation in this exercise. It's been a very long haul. It began in 2012 with the QCPR resolution and has followed through many iterations to get to this final point. I think some of the words which appeared in the statement, sometimes painful, but nonetheless has led to a promising and much improved cost recovery policy. I think in that spirit of collaboration, I just want to thank everybody, thank all the other agencies as well for their collegiate and constructive approach to reaching this resolution, and look forward to continuing to report on this matter back to the board in terms of its implementation. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone would like to take the floor?
Andrew?
Yes. Yeah, I give the floor to UNFPA. Andrew, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joining my colleague George, I would also like to strongly thank the board for its support, its questioning, its advice, and ultimately the statement that was read out has the full agreement of the four agencies here, and I think we can agree with the statement. This has been a long and painful road, but the way it's come together at the end, I think the end product speaks for itself. We've moved a long way ultimately on this. As we are ahead of the time, Chair, I'd just like to take a couple of minutes, if I may, for thank yous, as we're at a kind of a bit of a gavel moment almost on this. And in addition to the board, I would like to thank, although they're not here today, the controllers of UNICEF and UN Women, because this has actually been a four-agency approach very much. It's just me and George happen to be here first. So we would like to say that this has been a real partnership from an agency perspective, and happy that the board appreciates that in wishing us to try and take this further to out into the UN system. I also, a couple of personal notes, Chair, if I may. I'd also like to say a personal thank you to, I know George is here today, but to Darshak, the previous, who until 2 weeks ago was the controller of UNDP, has now moved on as a senior advisor in the UNDP Administrator's Office. But frankly, he had already served a long term on this before I even came on board, and he has provided me with and the team with lots of guidance. And the final thing I have to say is, on behalf of all four controllers, to all four of the technical teams of the agencies who have really done the heavy lifting here and come up with this from the UN side, come up with the detail and the policies here, and worked with the very successfully with our board members. So with that, I say thank you, and back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to take the floor before we before we adjourn the meeting, actually. So there is no comments and.
No further requests from the floor, sir.
Okay, okay. Let me thank you all actually for your participation and for your engagement. And I would like to say that I would inform the board actually that the draft decision on agenda item 5, financial, budgetary, and administrative matter is being prepared, and we will revert to this item later to adopt the decision. And I wish to remind delegations that there will be informal consultation on draft decision until 6 p.m. today. We will reconvene tomorrow at 10 a.m. and we'll take up the UNOPS segment. So the afternoon meeting is adjourned, and thank you all again. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, distinguished delegates.
Thank you all.